The recent wave of affordable EVs continues with this, the new BYD Dolphin Surf, a smaller, cheaper city car that sits below the Dolphin in BYD's lineup. With prices from under £19,000 for a range of 137 miles or £22,000 for a 200-mile WLTP range, the BYD could be one of the most convincing low-cost small electric cars. Yes, that is right, it's another new BYD. Now, BYD, you've probably heard of them, build your dreams, huge Chinese manufacturer that's becoming very well known in the UK because it's very hard to ignore a company that launches a new model every fortnight. But, joking aside, the Dolphin Surf, it's a lot of range for the money, isn't it? Which is seriously tempting. And, you know, this is a comfort model here. You even get the lime green paint as standard. That's really good, isn't it? 6-year warranty, there's a lot going for it. Now, I do want to point out this is not as small as you might imagine. Yes, of course, it's an urban-oriented car, but it's nearly 4 metres long, so it's actually very similar in size to cars like the Renault 5 and the Citroen EC3, rather than stuff like the Hyundai Insta and the Dacia Spring, which are quite a bit smaller. That does seem like a lot of car for the money then, doesn't it? You can get the BYD Dolphin Surf in 3 trims. The entry-level Active gets the smaller 30 kWh LFP blade battery, but it also gets a touchscreen, keyless entry, leatherette upholstery, reversing camera and more, so it's hardly poverty spec. Boost and Comfort models both get the bigger 43.2 kWh LFP blade battery, plus extra kit included. Boost and Comfort models both get the bigger 43.2 kWh LFP blade battery, but you do have to go for top spec Comfort to get more performance. So, what do you think of the way the Dolphin Surf looks? I actually don't mind it, in a kind of angry pumpkin face kind of way. That's definitely what it reminds me of. It's very frowny and aggressive, which you might normally expect more in kind of a performance hot hatch or that kind of thing, rather than an affordable city EV that does 0 to 62 in around about 12 seconds in the worst case scenario, with the somewhat ironically named Boost model. I guess maybe that's because that's what you're going to want, is possibly a Boost. But anyway, I actually don't think it looks bad. I think it looks kind of cool. I love the bright colour. And yeah, I really don't mind it. I quite like this detail on the C-pillar here. You know, 5-door is standard, of course. You've got the MG Go Faster wing at the back. And perhaps more importantly for most people, it's pretty practical. So this thing has got more than 300 litres of boot space. It's quite a high load lip and a little bit of a drop down, but you do have a bit of storage under there for your cables. You've got 50-50 split rear seats that fold. They do leave quite a big step up, but it's a cheap car, isn't it? I don't think anybody's going to mind that. I think that's pretty good, really. For a small city car and for this price, I'd say that's not bad. You can only seat 4 people in the Surf because that rear bench is only for 2 people. But there is plenty of legroom and headroom that you'll get an average-sized adult in there quite comfortably. And you also get 3 sets of Isofix because there's an extra pair as standard on the front passenger seat, which could be very useful for chunky rear-facing car seats. So, the interior of the Dolphin Surf. Well, it's not short of equipment. So this is the top spec Comfort model, and that gets pretty much everything. So you've got the 10.1-inch screen across the whole range, including the, hi BYD.
Hi there.
You get that, get her too. Turn off my heated seats.
Got it. I'll turn off seat heating.
Oh, she will. There you go. So she's useful, isn't she? And so you get the screen, you get your Apple CarPlay, your Android Auto, your inbuilt nav, all of that stuff. Actually, it responds all right.
Sure.
Does the job.
Some things you can say.
Yeah, she knows what I'm saying. So that's all good. That's standard. You've also got your physical buttons down here. They're very useful for your windscreen demisting, this kind of thing. I mean, it's not a terribly sexy interior, is it? It doesn't look that great, but do you know what? It's not bad at all. The material finish, it's okay. It's, yeah, it's absolutely fine. When you go for this top spec model where you get the wireless phone charging, I think a lot of people are going to go for the mid-spec Boost. I know it's the slower of them because it's got the big battery but a lower powered electric motor. But I mean, in this car, I think it's still going to be fine. And the mid-spec car where you get your electric folding mirrors plus the longer range. Yeah, so I think that's going to be a good one. However, the only thing that annoys me about the equipment on this car is that you have to go for the top spec car to get heated seats. How annoying is that? BYD aren't the only manufacturer doing that. It's annoying me at the moment. It's a bit of a trend that manufacturers are giving you all kinds of madness. You get keyless entry, adaptive cruise control, reversing camera, all of that on the base level Dolphin Surf, but you have to go for the top spec car to get heated seats. Rapid charging in the Surf peaks at 65 kilowatts with this smaller battery, or it goes up to 85 kilowatts for the bigger battery, so that you can get a top up in around about 30 minutes regardless of which model you go for. You also get 11 kilowatt AC charging, which can be particularly useful if you charge at an office or curbside charger. But most owners will probably charge at a 7 kilowatt home charger, and that will give you a full battery in around 5 to 8 hours. There's also vehicle-to-load charging as standard, so that you can power your devices from the car's battery. That's right, it's the BYD Dolphin Surf, and we are here driving it around London on the launch event. Now, this is the comfort model, which has 154 brake horsepower for a 0 to 62 in 9.1 seconds. But, as I said, we're in London, and that means that basically everywhere is 20 miles an hour. So this is going to be quite a sedate drive, but it's a Dolphin Surf and it is an urban car, so I think that's actually very appropriate. It's more important is how comfortable it is, how quiet it is, and do you know what? It's pretty good. I mean, there's not even much motor whine. You don't even really get much of that, and it just feels it's quite calm and confident actually. My immediate thought is that this feels much more grown up and more kind of planted and stable than things like the Dacia Spring and even the Leapmotor T03. This definitely feels more like a Renault 5, Citroen EC3, that kind of class of car, and there's quite a big difference in that. This doesn't feel as cheap and tinny at all as as the Dacia and the Leapmotor, so I think that's worth pointing out. But this being the top spec model, it's over £23,000, so you are well into Renault 5 territory, and I know that there are deals out there to be had on new Instas already as well, so you might be surprised what you can get for this money. So I do think that BYD, you know, they're competing with some really good cars. But as it drives, nice. Yeah, it's light, steering's nice and light, but it's got enough bite that it feels confident, even, you know, if you do manage to find a faster corner or a roundabout to swing it round. It's not bad at all. The ride is a little bit bouncy and you definitely notice coarser surfaces, but I would say that it's damped quite well, so it doesn't really bother you. It doesn't get jarring and crashy. That's what you want to avoid, isn't it? This car's on 16-inch alloys and hand-cooked tyres, which probably helps. So, but I mean, that, you know, that's fine for a little city car. So yeah, rides well, feels pretty nimble and wieldy. There's 2 levels of brake regen, but you have to go into the settings on the touchscreen to change it, which I find really annoying because it's so it's not very helpful, is it, when you want to change the car's driving dynamics and you have to go various menus deep in the system to do it. But if you do find your way into the settings and then you've got high or standard regen, even the high mode, it's not that heavy. It's not a one pedal mode by any stretch, so it's quite mild, whereas the standard level of brake regen, you barely notice it at all. It's if anything, I think it's lighter even than normal engine braking on a petrol car. But it's all intuitive, you get used to it. Brake pedal feels all right. It's just fine. There's nothing that thrills me about it, but it does do the job. Nice little turning circle, so it does feel quite sort of wieldy through corners, and when you're sort of parking, it's very fit for purpose. That is how I feel about this car. It doesn't excite me, but I think if you're after a really affordable little electric car, I can see why you'd consider this, because it's just got so much equipment. Electric seat adjustment here, as standard on the mid-spec and the top-spec cars. That's all right, isn't it? I do wish it dropped a bit lower, but then I have to say, I do typically quite like to sit low in a car, so that might just be me, but I do feel like you're sitting quite high. Yeah, it's actually pretty good, I must say. It really doesn't feel like a car that you're going to drive around just going, oh God, it's so cheap, isn't it? You're not kind of like, it doesn't kind of beat you around the head with its affordability. But having said that, I do think this is all going to come down to cost, isn't it? It's really going to be about the monthly prices, and we don't know what those are yet. So that's what's going to make or break the Dolphin Surf, because if it's much cheaper than a Renault 5 or a Citroen EC3 or a Hyundai Insta on monthlies, then I think people will buy it. I think lots of people will buy it, and I can see why they would, because it's a very compelling proposition, isn't it? We were seeing 180-mile real-world range from the big battery BYD Dolphin Surf, which isn't too bad at all. That represents efficiency of 4.4 miles per kilowatt hour. We can't speak for the smaller battery that we haven't driven yet, though, so we'll have to wait and see on that front. So there you have it. I ultimately think this is going to come down to price, isn't it, as I've said. So the monthlies are going to make or break it. But it is a good car. It feels pretty grown up. You get all of the safety assistance systems that you expect and more, probably. Adaptive cruise control, lane keep, all of that stuff, that's all controlled through the screen as well. It hasn't been crash tested by Euro NCAP yet, so that is one thing. But this car is based on the Platform 3.0, which is the same platform that the BYD Seal and Atto 3 and all of those bigger electric cars are based on. So it's BYD's pure electric platform, and they've done well in safety tests. So, you know, it's looking promising, but we won't know until it's actually tested. It's spacious inside, it's good value, the range is decent. I can see why you would. I personally would probably end up going for, I think I'd have the Renault or the Hyundai or the Citroen over this. Because there is just still, they just feel a bit nicer inside and a bit more, just a bit more, I think. Let us know what you think. Leave us a comment. Tell us which car you would buy if you were going to buy something in this class. Or would you buy a used car? Maybe you would. On which note, don't forget to head to cargurus.co.uk for a whole host of fantastic used cars, including loads of little electric cars that would be great alternatives to this. And while you're here, please do like the video, subscribe to the CarGurus UK YouTube channel, and ring that little bell, turn your notifications on so that you don't miss any of our videos.